What's up, Patreon cousins? Welcome back. Today I'm coming to y'all with another celebrity natal chart / Synastry reading. This time on none other than Mr. Twitch and his widow, Allison. Okay? So, long story short, if you are not familiar with this whole ordeal, Twitch, he was a DJ. Okay, I think he was formerly Wendy Williams' DJ, but he also was like a dancer, or like he was on some dance shows. And then eventually married this white woman here. They used to dance together and had like a couples dance account. So that's pretty much what he was known for, like DJing and like his love for dance and all that stuff. So I didn't really know much about him. I wasn't checking for the man, but that's pretty much the full extent of it, right? And not too long ago, he ended up, offing himself, right? And of course, as mentioned, he was married to this woman here, Allison. Started off as like his dancing partner. And they seemed to be like a very happy couple, whatever. They would post dancing videos on YouTube, blah, 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 blah. Okay. She had a kid before she met him. They got together and then had, 2 more kids or something like that. So fast forward to him offing himself. He ended up pow-powing himself in the head, basically, right? And so now Miss Allison, his widow, has essentially wrote a book. So people are calling it like a tell-all book because in this book, she is detailing her experience not only with the loss of her late husband, but she also talks about going into his shoebox and finding his long lost journal. And in this journal, he has all of these different confessions, right, in them. And among those confessions are him confessing to being inappropriately fondled and, inappropriately dealt with as a child. Y'all read in between the lines, right? And then she also said that she found some drugs in his closet, so a lot of things that, and we know how Black families are, when it comes to having a deceased relative, right? For the most part, people are very protective about the legacy and the memories associated with a deceased relative, and especially more so if it's like a male, right? A Black male. But that's a different story for a different day. So now you have Twitch's family looking at Allison sideways, making public comments, going public, making videos, pretty much voicing their disdain for her decision to do so. Because in their eyes, you're destroying his legacy. You're doing this for a check. You're writing a tell-all book. You're exposing things that he probably would not have wanted exposed. According to the people who've known him, once again, family, and even some of his friends and former colleagues, they're saying he was private. He wouldn't want this stuff public. But let Allison tell it, because she sat down and did an interview on somebody's channel about the book, while she was doing the tour, the press tour for the book. She was saying, basically her intention was to educate, right? To educate the masses and to let people know, what she's dealing with and, sharing in hopes that it could save somebody else's life or help somebody else, blah, 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 blah. So now you have this discourse going, this public discourse going. And then, of course, we have to add into the fact that this is an interracial couple, a Black man, white woman. Naturally, it's very politicized, very highly emotional topic for a lot of people for a bunch of different reasons. So you have people who feel like, fuck it, he made his choice. That's his wife. I don't really give a fuck, what comes with that, what his family says, or, people being angry about the situation. But then you also got people who feel like the family is right. She's wrong. She's exploiting his death. She's da-da-da-da-da. Me, I think the nigga chose what he chose. So in death and in life, It just is what it is. I don't really personally give a fuck. But I did find this situation to be so interesting and, potentially something that could be very educational and very informative from an astrological standpoint, which is why today I want to take a look at Allison's natal chart, number one, and then we can go ahead and include some of those synastry aspects between both Allison and Twitch to kind of paint a picture, right, of the true essence of their relationship, and then looking at Allison's chart to see if there are any, or if there's any validity to the claims and the allegations being spewed against her, especially by his family, right? Because, they're saying that this lady is a wench, that she goes out her way to keep his kids from them, and that, once again, she's very exploitative, and all of this is just for, like, a dollar sign, and she's always been this type of person who lacked integrity. It sounds like they ain't never liked the bitch. So let's go ahead and take a look at her natal chart and get the tea going. Okay, let's go. So in one corner, we have Allison, who was born on February 6, 1988 in Minneapolis. Well, I looked up and saw she was from Minnesota, right? I don't know if she's actually from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I looked, couldn't really find any clarity on that. So therefore, if she's from anywhere other than Minneapolis, feel free to let me know. I can update that information on my end. I highly doubt that there would be that much of a difference, or that it would virtually make any difference at all, especially if it's in the same state. But I digress. I'm not above being wrong. Y'all let me know. I will gladly go back and update it, okay? But just for the sake of this video, I chose Minneapolis, Minnesota, okay? Twitch was born September 29th, 1982 in Montgomery, Alabama. So with all of those things considered, there are some things that I observed about Miss Allison's chart that I found to be particularly interesting. The first one being that she's an Aquarius sun. So with her being born on the 6th of February, the number 6 deals with relationships. I thought that was kind of interesting too. And then you look at the fact that Twitch has his son at the 6th degree of Libra. So that's that like partnership kind of component. You could look at this in the sense of where both of them, just throughout the course of their lives may have been naturally just relationship oriented people, or people who function better in partnership type of situations. Because when you examine their relationship, once again, their relationship, I think, if I'm not mistaken, started with them even being dancing partners. Now, the number 6 is also associated with creativity. The number 6 can also deal with dance. It can deal with, artisticness, if that's a word, art, all of the things that could really encompass like their interest and what brought them together in the first place. So like, I get that, right? And the number 6 has a very strong Venus undertone to it. So with Twitch being a Libra sun, right, having his sun at that 6th degree, it kind of reinforces and doubles down on that kind of imprint in his chart. So it can really speak to the fact that, once again, he was definitely like either more of like a relationship oriented person. It could definitely deal with where marriage, could have been something that was very important for him, like a chief aim for him, or just a large like claim to fame. Remember, the sun could be your claim to fame is his marriage. But, Libra is also the sign of PR, things being in a good standing, everything looking upstanding and whatnot. And the number 6 kind of has that certain energy to it too, specifically more in the sense that it likes to remain in like a more favorable position. The number 6 is very easygoing. It can even be very surface level. So I can see right off rip how we have like the perfect storm for a relationship that is not what all it appears to be up front. You feel me? The laughing, let's dance together. We're dancing, guys. We're dancing. oh, look at the perfect couple. Look at the couple. They're so happy. Like, you know, it sets the stage where you can have a relationship that kind of follows along those guidelines, but behind the scenes, something completely different, you know, or a relationship where people can stay in relationships to kind of like keep up an air, keep up appearances. All of that is 6 energy, and it can moreover be Libra energy. So I thought that was very, very interesting for sure. So we got that. Allison, that is, you know, with her being an Aquarius is one of those signs where, because it's the natural, it's the polar opposite of Leo, right? If Leo archetypically governs the heart and matters of the heart, we're talking 5th house territory, if you're familiar with the, astrology, right? So it's like, these are women naturally who may not do well in like long-term, and they could even have some issues with attracting like long-term partners, or could be the type to latch on to partners that they can either benefit from or control in some way or dominate. They could show up as kind of like more difficult figures within a relationship. Absolutely. So I thought that was interesting too, because, that placement alone isn't really indicative of somebody who is such a bleeding heart, like dedicated, understanding wife. Now, I'm not saying that Aquarius women are not capable of being good partners and whatever the fuck, but if we're just taking that at face value, understanding the nature of Aquarius and how Aquarius could work, especially when it comes to women, there's that, once again, that theme of detachment that Aquarius is so infamous for. Aquarius also, once again, rules separations. It's opposing Leo. So a lot of times there can be a lot of disruptive influences surrounding love and matters of the heart, or where things kind of really can be perverted in that area, like where a person's approach to those things may not necessarily be, either what most people would expect, what the norm usually is, that kind of thing. And she has a widow aspect. She has Sun square Pluto. I call Sun square Pluto the widow aspect because, of course, in the chart, the Sun would naturally equate to the father, or, a father-like figure, but also for a woman or whoever's marrying men these days, a husband. So Sun square Pluto absolutely could result in like the death of a husband. With her Sun being in Aquarius, this could be like, once again, like a shocking death. And honestly, this could also deal with her and lead to her getting a lot of like blowback. I guess you could say blow black, because most of it is from the black community. Hey, we're gonna have to I think I coined a new phrase: blow black. Anytime that black community gets outraged, you niggas got some blow black coming your way. Okay, so Sun in Aquarius square Pluto could also equate to specifically when it comes to like the internet, online outrage, backlash, her being, which is funny because I think she did mention that after she did that book tour, she got a bunch of threats, like a bunch of death threats, which is very Sun in Aquarius square in Pluto. So not only does it represent the death of Twitch himself, but it also goes on to represent her even being just like a polarizing figure behind her husband, and eliciting all of that outrage. I would even argue, because word on the curb, honey, is that her oldest child, who's like a teenager but is still very much a kid, got on social media and was like defending her, my mom this, my mom that, da 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 da. And to that, I would caution Allison to be very mindful of what she's allowing her child to get involved in, because this Aquarius Sun square in Pluto could also deal with her daughter receiving, her children being in the line of fire when it comes to receiving a lot of that hate and that type of energy. So she better get that shit together. because you got to be careful with that, right? But some other parts of Allison's chart that really let me know a lot about like who she is and how she operates, and once again can provide some more context about her relationship with Twitch. Now, mind you, in this interview that I saw that she did, on the press tour that she went on, she stated that she did not know Twitch was suicidal, that all of this just kind of came out of the blue one day. And once again, while prepping for his funeral, she went and found the drugs, and she went and saw the journal, and all of this is new information to her, and she's just using this information, putting it out there to help other people. Okay, boom. So Allison has her Venus in Pisces. Now, Venus in Pisces is one of those placements that can produce a person who tends to date partners who are addicts. So his family was like, well, he ain't no addict because he had no drugs in his system. And like, so I don't know, I guess I'm guessing they're insinuating that she's lying. This placement alone tells me that she's not. And she actually has her Venus in Pisces forming a conjunction to that Pisces North Node. So actually, it kind of reinforces this energy of her dating and possibly attracting partners who may struggle with addiction and or drugs or substances of some sort. This could even point towards this being a very karmic relationship, or where Twitch could have unlocked or triggered a lot of her karmic debt that was tied to experiencing addiction up close and personal, and even mental health issues up close and personal, right? So having a partner who's sick, having a partner who's vulnerable, very Venus in Pisces. And then with that conjunction to her North Node, I can really very much see how this situation with Twitch would be the catalyst, because if she's a Pisces North Node in this lifetime, she is supposed to get more familiar with these more sensitive topics anyway. And it's supposed to drive and serve the purpose of making her a more compassionate and understanding human being, and somebody who's more willing to step outside of the box and dedicate her life to something that's bigger than herself, and something that's bigger than, just your ordinary mundane, 9 to 5 or quest and search for $1. You know what I mean? So, and I thought it was really interesting because, Venus and Pisces can deal with a person who gives money to charity. In conjunction with that Pisces North Node, you can look at this as like a nonprofit, her opening up a nonprofit, or this being the catalyst, right? Twitch is just being the catalyst to her, like, starting this nonprofit, or, doing some type of charity in his name, in his honor, whatever the case may be. I think that's what the case is. I'm not sure, but from an astrological standpoint, I would not be surprised if that was the approach that she's taking. Okay. And so once again, which I say that could be valid. However, the issue, or where things can really get messy, is that her Venus is squaring Chiron in Gemini, which means on one hand, could there be a legitimate reason, or could, her wanting to do good for the great of all be like a intention behind her doing what she's doing? Yes. Like I said, Venus in conjunction to Pisces on the North Node is very compassionate, very giving, selfless. Like, I want to do this for a greater cause, and I want to help. Fine. But that square to Gemini, or Chiron in Gemini, tells me that she's somebody who, within relationships, and even as it pertains to how she makes money, does not mind and would actually do things with like dual motives, with two different motives, or somebody who can do things, and everything may not always necessarily be what it seems up front. It gives me kind of like this trickster energy, or this double dealing energy, or somebody who can have this determination to outwit or outsmart someone. So based on this alone, would I argue that her sole purpose of releasing this book is to help him? Because even when you look at Venus and Pisces squaring Chiron and Gemini. That's quite literally is her writing that tell-all book. You know, Gemini rules books, television, media. So this Chiron and Gemini squaring her Venus and Pisces deals with her essentially doing a lot of harm or attacking her partner or you know, divulging information, going to media, or, you know, taking to this book and divulging information that could potentially be harmful to her partner. Hence, Chiron. Chiron is like, Chiron hurts people. Like, that's the whole point of Chiron. You know what I'm saying? When you look at the Chiron in your chart, it's either going to hurt you or somebody else. Maybe both, depending on how it's aspected and where it's placed. But the point is, I could see her having multiple, like, you know, a hidden motive behind doing it, or where things it's not 100% her being just this super altruistic person. But this aspect could also represent where she just has a habit of, like, even that theme of like running your mouth and then it causing a lot of scandal. Venus in Pisces is very much scandal and conflict, and that being derived from her talking, I would even argue, maybe even too much. Okay? So, you know, there's that. Now, she also has her Venus squaring Uranus at the 29th degree of Sag. This could result in a relationship of convenience. It could deal with third parties. The number 29, keep in mind, because remember, Twitch was born on the 29th. The number 29 is heavily imprinted in their synastry, and once again, even further reflected when it comes to Twitch. The number 29 is called the anaretic degree. It's often referred to as the crisis number or like the conflict degree, because it can once again reinforce this theme of there being a lot of things beneath the surface or in-house. Look at that as like in-house issues. The number 29 can be related to like domestic violence. And obviously, I'm not saying hands down that means that was the case, although Sun square Pluto is an abusive aspect. She also has Venus square Mars, which is another abusive aspect natally, but I digress. And abuse can go either way, but whatever. Point is, you know, the number 29 can denote abuse, but it can also denote just internal conflict, dysfunction, third-party situations, you know, cheating, all that stuff, right? So with her Venus squaring Uranus at the 29th degree of Sag, once again, a relationship of convenience, third parties being involved. I would not be surprised. Honestly, this kind of gives that, like, where she could attract men who may not even be fully heterosexual, which actually reinforces her Aquarius sun. Y'all know an archetype of Aquarius is homosexuality. Hello. And then with her sun squaring Pluto, now that would check out in terms of Twitch being assaulted and violated, specifically by like a man in his life and whatever the case may be. But, you know, it happens a lot, unfortunately, where men or boys can be assaulted in a certain way, grow up, question their sexuality, boom. You know what I'm saying? This is not to say that every young boy who's violated, that means that, you know, I don't know, if you're violated by a man, that means that you're gay or whatever the case may be, because that's not necessarily true. But I do feel like for Twitch, what I'm seeing, there could be some there. I would not be surprised if he was not all the way 100% straight. You know what I'm saying? That kind of ties back into that thing. Once again, that number 29, there could even be inner demons when it comes to like someone's sexuality. I've seen the number 29 manifest in like a hypersexual person, but also someone where even when as it pertains to a person's sexual identity, there is some type of conflict, there is some type of stagnancy, there is some type of something that could really be impacting that person. And for somebody to drive themselves to off themselves, and I'm not saying this was like the main reason, although it could be a factor. I personally believe it was a factor because this is a very heavy burden to bear, especially when we talk about men, more so when we're talking about black men. You feel me? He's a black man from Mississippi, and look at his family and how they acted. You know, so this could also even deal Venus squaring Uranus at the 29th degree of Sag Could also deal with her and Twitch being into alternative situations like, threesomes, group sex. Once again, it's something about this couple where it's not what people think they were. You know what I'm saying? This could also quite directly reflect her issues with Twitch's family, her alienating his family, and I would even argue the black community as a whole with that Uranus at the 29th degree of Sagittarius. Y'all know Sagittarius is all about like what's foreign to you, other cultures. She has her Mars in Sagittarius as well. You see that a lot with women who date outside their race. Sagittarius Sun women, Sag Mars women. We could throw Sag Venus in there, but in her case, Mars and Sagittarius. Somebody else who has this hookup, Eve, the rapper Eve. Eve, how you do that? She's married to that white billionaire. You know what I'm saying? So just to put that into perspective. However, with Allison having, once again, Venus squaring Uranus at the 29th degree of Sag, this is her pissing off the black community. I can absolutely see this aspect confirming that she is somebody who may have very much been kind of standoffish with his family and still is. And also it could be a money thing too. Like issues surrounding money with his family. Y'all know how that goes. This aspect also supports there being a lot of distance between herself and his family, a lot of distance between her and Twitch. Like I said, maybe even two people who are living separate lives. You know what I'm saying? One person over here, the other person over there. You can't always look at things for how they appear to be in the public, especially when you have like these celebrity couples, whatever. Because once your jaw rests on your relationship, or if you've made your relationship a central part of your brand, after a certain time, it stops really being about your relationship for what it actually is, and more so about ensuring that you're upholding and maintaining the brand, i.e. Jay-Z and Beyonce. Obviously, they're nobody's Jay-Z and Beyonce, but it's the same energy signature. Y'all got to be weary of these couples that y'all praise. Not y'all, not my viewership. I know y'all don't do it. But the general public has to be mindful of the couples that they praise, and which you never know what you think you know about these people. Also, that Venus in Pisces squaring Chiron in Gemini could be indicative of extramarital affairs. And honestly, this could really come from either side. I could see a reality where this aspect could produce Twitch dealing with different people. And honestly, like I said, I would be surprised if all of those people were just women. And even if we take that off the table, like I said, God rest his soul. This could also deal with him dealing with other women, or her, Allison, doing the same, dealing with other people, the other multiple partners, whatever the case may be. Okay, I wouldn't be surprised if she found some stuff in his phone as well. You know what I mean? Going through his phone, looking through his messages, finding stuff she doesn't like, that she didn't like. So, there's that. Also, this square between her Venus and that Uranus at the 29th degree of Sag could also even indicate to where her being away, her being at a distance. And when I say at a distance, this could be emotionally or figuratively or physically, literally, right? And I remember the little girl, her daughter, mind you, Twitch's stepdaughter, right? I remember she did a live stream. This is like recent, I saw it today. She did a live stream where she got on social media and was like, yeah, y'all are attacking my mom for us not being close with the family, and we don't even live close to them. So it's like she tries to keep us involved, or keep the kids involved, but we live so far away from the family. And what she said struck a chord with me, because according to this aspect, I would not be surprised if Allison's decision to be, once again, at a distance with the family wasn't very intentional. So it's on one hand, the little girl not wrong, but you can tell she's still being manipulated because she's not an adult. She doesn't see the full situation, the full extent of the situation, and doesn't understand the role that her mother could potentially play in manipulating the situation, right? Because, yes, if you live at a distance from your family, I get it. You may obviously not see them as often as you would like to, or as other family members would who are local, obviously. But y'all don't go on vacations. Y'all don't go visit. Y'all don't. You see what I'm saying? There are so many other. It's so many other alternatives. It doesn't make sense. And with this aspect, I can see her once again intentionally isolating herself and her family from his family. That's just what it is. That's what it is. And then when you go back to the fact that she's an Aquarius, like Aquarians can be agitators, like by design. And this is not to say every Aquarius is intentionally going around causing shit, trying to make people's lives harder. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is, whether it's for like a higher cause or purpose, or, you know, sometimes you have those Aquarians, a lot of times you have those Aquarians who, it doesn't matter what other people are doing, they don't, unless it's something they resonate with personally, or something they don't want, or something they want to do, I should say, they're not super easygoing people. It's like they can be very willful, they can be very my way or the highway, you know what I'm saying? Or people who can kind of shake up a situation. If everybody want to go left, I'm gonna go right. You know, either the contrarian, the problem starter from the standpoint of, you know, the person who doesn't go along with the status quo, or the ordinary, the mundane, whatever the flow of traffic is. These are people who are going to go against the grain if that's what they so choose and want to do. And so even when we talk about, like, within the context of this situation, like, you know, that, and then you take into account how cold and callous and even calculated Aquarians can be, hence their Saturn-Uranus co-rulership. All of these things considered, I'm just having a hard time believing that Allison is as well-intentioned as she claims to be, or that she's just kind of like this innocent lamb whose husband died, and, you know, now she's just scrambling to make the best of it from a genuine and sincere place. I don't necessarily feel that. I just don't. Okay? In fact, the things in her chart that could have made her more, once again, like I mentioned, like that compassionate energy, more like a softer, more empathetic human being, those placements are compromised. Okay? That Venus in Pisces is very much compromised. Another compromise that Venus in Pisces is making is the fact that Venus is squaring Saturn at the 29th degree of Sag. Once again, the number 29. This could deal with her being with Twitch for a long period of time. You know, you see this in the charts of like people who are in relationships that could last or span over the course of at least 10 years. But the relationships tend to have very concrete limitations. There tends to be a huge limitation in the relationship. This could be two people, even who are business partners, people who keep up an image. Like I said, that number 29, with there being outside factors and outside influences being involved, third-party situations being involved, things that, once again, we don't fully understand. Venus squaring Saturn at the 29th degree of Sag. This could also deal with her not being tolerant and accepting of outside cultures. Hence that Saturn and Sagittarius squaring her Venus. Her being judged and persecuted for sharing her truth. And this could be, you know, that could be multiple things could be true at once, by the way. This could deal with her not being good with money. And being very excessive, which also reinforces that Venus square Chiron and Gemini. And I meant to mention that too, in terms of even her motives for putting out this book. You know, it could literally just be a money grab, because I would argue, I wouldn't be surprised if finances, like if as time goes on and people start exposing her as finances and, you know, stuff like that wasn't a part of like her and Twitch's relationship. You know what I mean? I see this in the charts of Venus and Pisces squaring Chiron and Gemini. You see this in the charts of con artists, people who could, you know, be even thieves themselves. I also meant to mention, I wouldn't be surprised if she had issues with addiction her goddamn self. That Pisces North Node, once again, Venus conjunct Pisces on the North Node. And then with this square in Chiron and Gemini, that's that Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde kind of thing. Then she has Mars and Sag opposing Chiron and Gemini. That's another aspect. Now, I would argue that aspect deals with Twitch's mental health issues, right? And where she, but that could also even deal with and reinforce her and Twitch. Like I said, I just get this theme of them not being on the same page when he died. And even other people who known him have come out and put her on blast and were like, well, I was able to talk to Twitch and we know what you are. And Twitch told me everything before he died. Now, mind you, they didn't say what he told them. But, I wouldn't be surprised if it was something along those lines. Like, she has a past herself. She does things herself. Somebody who may not always be the most honest and forthcoming about what they're sharing, or people who can live double lives themselves. Now, the flip side of that is her being with a partner that is super secretive and things like that. And that, once again, more than one thing can be true at once. There's a lot about this couple that we don't know, individually and within their relationship. Okay? And I wouldn't be surprised if it was one of those things where, she was the one who either was bad with money in the relationship, or, like I said, this theme of like being with him for opportunistic reasons, or being very exploitative and opportunistic in her, as it pertains to her relationship. All that is Venus square Saturn at the 29th degree of Sag. Boom. Her Mars and Sag, and that, once again, her dating black men is opposing Chiron and Gemini. As I mentioned, that could be the mental health issues, living a double life, being at odds with Twitch at some point. Her Venus square Mars could deal with there being issues with her getting along with others, always feeling like she's justified to do the things that she does. But once again, even with her Mars in opposition to Chiron, it's like, it's there's kind of like a double meaning behind that shit. But I would say that opposition could be more indicative of how extreme things are. Like her stepping out to call out certain things and having the audacity to vocalize certain things that could actually get her in trouble with other people. You know what I'm saying? And vice versa. She is a Virgo South Node. So you got people who used to work with both of them saying that, she's a horrible person and da-da-da-da-da. Many Virgo, this is not a good year for Virgo South Nodes. Mind you, the transiting nodes, which I got a video coming for that, by the way, but the transiting nodes, we finna have transiting North Node in Pisces. So she's getting ready to undergo her lunar nodal transit, okay? Or her lunar nodal return, I should say. And that's gonna, I feel, reaffirm this energy signature behind her receiving a lot of like backlash and scandal, undergoing a lot of scandal as it pertains to this situation. So she's getting ready to experience like a major shift. And I do feel like this war that has been ignited by his family is something that could be ongoing. And once again, as the nodes shift, that Pisces, her having that lunar nodal return in Pisces is going to definitely kind of speed that up. It's going to exacerbate everything. You know what I'm saying? So, I wouldn't be surprised if you had people who used to, because Virgo South Nodes tend to be horrible when it comes to like their experiences with coworkers or even being bosses, like workplace abuse and harassment, or, just not the easiest people to deal with, being anal retentive, uptight. I could see her being like annoying and controlling, being one of those wives. Like, so when people talk about how she was not a great person to interact with and deal with, and how she has her own demons, she has so many indicators of her, just within her chart, of her having her own issues as well. Yeah. So, You got to think about that. I could see her being a big drinker, or like I said, or having alcohol or even substance abuse issue herself. Also reinforced with this Mars and Sag. A lot of Sag Mars is I would recommend, that you be mindful of if you are a drinker, you got to keep that shit in check. Because these are people who can actually absolutely get off the chain. These are the sloppy drunks. These are the people who get drunk and want to and fight, like the angry drunks. That's very Mars and Sag. You want to throw shit. Or, with this square in her Venus. Venus square Mars can make you very problematic in general. So once again, this idea that they had this super happy, healthy relationship, there's more to the story. And that's the theme. That's the theme, overall arching theme of this reading. There's more to the story. Synastry-wise, Twitch's Aquarius moon is conjoined to her Mercury. Now, that could deal with him having that perverted family, you know what I'm saying? But it could also deal, and honestly, I see a reality where she could have been in good standing with his family at some point, or could have communicated with his family. But I also see intuitively too, what this aspect in Synastry symbolizes is that Twitch may have also not been that close to his family. You got to think about it. You know what I'm saying? Aquarius moon in conjunction to Mercury, he might have been the outsider in his family, rightfully so. And now he's pillow talking with her, sharing certain things with her. So she's abreast to all of this knowledge and information. So I mean, you get where I'm going with this? Like, so of course she's gonna follow suit or say what she wanna say or deal with y'all based on the premises of how he is dealing with y'all, And this aspect could suggest, like, even if she didn't necessarily know about the molestation piece, right? There was still a certain way in which he dealt with his family. You could tell that nigga ain't fuck with his family like that. I'm gonna stand on that. He also has his Libra Sun and Mercury squaring his Cancer South Node, or excuse me, at the very least, his Libra Sun squaring that Cancer South Node. That could also deal with his partner, his spouse, being at odds, clashing with, not getting along with his family. But once again, even with him being, he has Cancer on the North Node, forgive me. So that Libra Sun is squaring his Cancer North Node. But even by those standards, even with him being a Cancer North Node, that's another indicator that things are not on the up and up within his family. So honestly, the truth is somewhere in between. I wouldn't be surprised if his family was full of shit. You know what I'm saying? Everybody full of shit in the equation. And so then you also have to consider Libra can also deal with like publicity, like I said, PR. His son squaring that Cancer North Node also deals with her having his family sign that NDA, where she, wants to kind of make it seem like she's a certain way, but she don't fuck with them people and they don't fuck with her. And another reality I can see with this, because Libra is the go-between people. They're the go-between people. Libra is all about like being the middleman, the negotiator. I wouldn't be surprised if he was the main thing that they had in common. Like I mentioned, he is, but in the sense of like, maybe she didn't have to spend that much time with his family. Like I said, he would kind of leverage like the go-between, but now that he's not here no more, now what? Y'all get what I'm trying to say about that? So, there's that. Then his Venus is really compromised in their synastry. I mean, his Venus is opposing her Venus in Pisces. That could reinforce them being on two different pages when it comes to money, financially. Venus and Pisces like to be taken care of, and I thought I mentioned that, but just to put that out there. So I could see her having that mentality of cater to me, I want to be taken care of, I want to be taken care of. Opposing his Venus, like, there's something about her. There's something to it. There's something, very much something. You know what I'm saying? And then on top of that, like, his Venus is squaring her Saturn, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, which also reinforces that Venus square Saturn within her chart, right? Once again, she was not with this man by chance. It reinforces and double downs on this energy of there being this kind of opportunistic kind of angle to their relationship. or even, like I said, her being the one in the relationship to add a lot of and create a lot of this strain. You know, so that man could have been dealing with all type of shit, from financial issues to whatever the fuck. And I would not, and a lot of people were like, well, you know, she was probably some of the reason that, like, contributed to the issues and, you know, things that ultimately he was dealing with before he took his life. And I'm going to be real, I got to agree. I'm going to agree with that. His Venus is squaring her Uranus. That could deal with where she felt entitled to his shit. Y'all get what I'm saying? Or somebody where, like, the money could be gone. Oh, I also meant to mention, too, her Mars squaring Uranus. Her natal Mars, I believe, is squaring Uranus. Actually, I lied. Not squaring Uranus. But even, you know, actually, she has her moon squaring Uranus. That's what that is. But her Venus is also squaring Uranus. Venus squaring Saturn. That Venus square Uranus could also deal with them not being together. Like I said, I just get this feeling that they may have been married at the time that he took his life, but I don't feel like they were together at the time that he took his life. Catch. Or, you know, that could kind of be on and off. That could also be reinforced in their synastry, once again, with his Venus squaring her Uranus. With her being the one to kind of be the one to waver. And not to mention, you know, him being a Cancer North Node, that is actually a very, 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 very private placement. You know what I mean? And technically, with her being a Pisces North Node, Venus conjoined to the Pisces North Node, she is supposed to be a more secretive, private person too. But the issue is, like I said, that Chiron comes along, Chiron and Gemini squaring it, and it compromises it. So she's not really afraid of, like, putting people on blast. Now, the caveat to that is that you got to be careful too, because with that comes people putting you on blast. So I wouldn't be surprised if more and more people, as time comes, once again, when the nodes switch, Miss Missy is going to have a hard time, because there's going to be a lot of different things coming out about her. You feel me? His Sun square her Neptune, his Mercury square her Neptune. I would definitely say that she's taking advantage of the situation, or even the way that she showed up in the relationship, not authentically herself. You know what I'm saying? There's a underhanded kind of sneaky kind of energy to these aspects. Her not being who she really is, or who he thinks she is. So, you know, hey, I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. Y'all drop down in the comment section. Let me know what you think about the whole situation. What you think about Allison. Yeah, so this is crazy. So I'll catch y'all in the next video. Make sure you practice unconditional self-love so that you can love yourself and others. And I will holler at y'all next time. Bye.